Hi and welcome to this webinar on creating reusable components for Nintex Workflow Cloud. My name is Adam Castle and I'm a technical specialist for LakeTree in New Zealand and Australia. As someone who builds solutions, I know they normally contain multiple approval forms. And when building these forms, we need to create a custom view of the requested data. This is also true for express approvals and really any email within the solution. When it comes to making changes, such as adding or removing fields, this is both time-consuming and increases testing as all forms and emails within the solution need to be changed. This is where reusable components help us to effectively manage change and decrease development time. In this video, we're going to be looking at some transformation services that allow us to create custom business data views for both your forms and your emails. We have a repeating section view, so we can take that repeating section data, create a custom view. Once again, we can then display that within our forms and our emails, so people don't need to navigate away from your current view to see that data. They don't need to click on a link and log into SharePoint to see that. And then a process comments view, so we can see whereabouts your process has been, who made what comments, why someone rejected a task, when they did it. Then we have the Nintex Workflow Cloud task list for SharePoint, where you can access all of your tasks in one place in different portals. We have a demo and then a deep dive into configuring the transformation services. So let's look at the business data view. Here on the left-hand side, we have a CapEx form. We can see the different fields, and we can call our service at the start of the process and create a custom view as you see on the right-hand side. Here we can see not only the business data, but also links directly to the attachments. So no longer do we need to provide bulky attachments within emails. Emails can be smaller, and when people want to look at these documents, they can then click on them. And of course, with these views, you can then place them within both your forms and your emails. Essentially, they are HTML structures that we get back from the transformation service. We stick them within a workflow variable, and we then place them within our forms and our emails. Then we have the repeating section view. I'm sure we all agree that the repeating section control is very powerful. But when it comes to reviewing the data, we need to click on a link within an email to open up maybe a SharePoint site to see this data. So here we can push the repeating section control into the transformation service, and it can then create a structure for us such as what we see below, which once again we can then place within our forms and our emails. Then we have the process comments view. It's really important to know where your process has been, why tasks have been approved or rejected, by who and when. We can take this view and also place it above existing controls. So before we make a decision, we can review the process history and then select our outcome, add a comment, and then the next user that gets a task will then have an updated process history, including your comments. So let's look at the CapEx request. So this is a solution that we built for a customer. We can see the requested form on the left-hand side. And at the start of the process, we take the business data, we take the repeating section, and we create custom views, custom reusable views that we can then place on our forms and our emails, and you can see the results. So that means that when we want to make a simple change, we make it in one place and everything changes automatically. So let's look at the process as a whole. Here we have 5 different approval forms. If we want to make one change, maybe there's a new field, we need to go through and add it, both on forms and emails throughout the entire process. Using the transformation service, we need to just make it in one place, and then all forms and emails using that will be automatically updated. So let's look at another example of this. Here we have the Delegated Financial Authority view. And now we want to add role users to this view as well. Now this view is being used on every form and every email throughout the entire solution. All we need to do is modify the service at the start of the process, and then anything using this view is automatically updated. As you can imagine, this saves a lot of time and once again decreases testing. We know that these fields will be correct and exist on anything that uses this view. When it comes to the repeating section, we can just take this, pass the information into our transformation control with some configuration data. Once again, we get back an HTML structure that we save into a variable. We place the variable within our forms, within our emails, and then we can see the repeating section data. This once again saves us having to click on a link and maybe open up a SharePoint list to view the data. So now all the information is in one place, helping us to make a decision. And then we have the Nintex Workflow Cloud tasks for SharePoint. So instead of having to go into the My Nintex dashboard to see your tasks, we can now view all tasks within your SharePoint portal. This is a global work list, so we can then filter by process names. So they can also be placed within different departments, within different portals for your solutions, where you only see tasks applicable to that. Or we can see a global work list on the main page, as we see here. They allow you to open the form and also action express approvals as well. So now it's time for the demonstration. Here we have our SharePoint portal. Within our portal, we can navigate directly to different departments, as well as having access to commonly used applications. Down the bottom, we have our global work list for the Nintex Workflow Cloud tasks. Here we can see all of the tasks assigned to myself, but we can also then place this apart within different sites, different solutions, and filter by the process name. Here we will click on the CapEx request and submit a new request to start a new process. To save time, I've pre-filled a lot of the information. So we have the details of the CapEx request, project type, the cost by quarter. Okay, and all we need to do now is just add a few attachments into this request. We've added those. We can add risk mitigation plans, but in this case, we will save that for later. We will submit. And once that has been updated and uploaded, we will then navigate to the CapEx portal. Fantastic. So that has now been submitted. The process has started. Okay, and we can now see a list of current requests for CapExes. We can see the dashboard at the top. We have conditional formatting to show whereabouts they are, and a progress bar as well. And below that, then we have once again our tasks, which are now only going to show tasks related to the CapEx request. Within this, I can action my express approvals directly. Here I might select to approve the CEO task. Okay, that has now been complete and removed my task. And I can also open up existing tasks as well. So while we're waiting for the current process to actually go through and produce those reusable views and send myself a task, I'm just going to take you through an existing task and what we can display. So you can see here we have one of the reusable views. So this is the process comments where we can see what's happened within my process, why tasks may have been approved or rejected. In this case, it's been sent back to the originator for rework as they need to add some risk mitigation plans. So with this, we can actually add, of course, this view directly to our form. Okay, and we can have those out-of-the-box controls below that as well. So we can mix and match to the design that we want. On the second tab, we have all the reusable controls or views that we're actually using within our solution, just so that they have all the information on hand when they need to. Here they can then go down and make a decision, and the process will continue on. Now, off the side of my screen, I've actually now received a new email, which means I have a task. So I'm going to open up the task form. Okay, we will move the task form to the side. And it will also open up the email that I received. So this here is both the task form and the email that I received regarding this specific task. Okay, so you can see here we've created reusable views. They maintain the same look and feel, and we can then place them within our forms and our emails. So as you can imagine, when you need to make changes, using these reusable views makes your life a lot easier, makes development time a lot shorter, and really saves on testing as well. So let's now look into how we configure these transformation services. Here we have the Nintex Designer. We have our CapEx process, as you can see. It is quite large. We have those different stages. We also have a rework, a project owner, cost center, CFO, and a CEO approval. Now on the left-hand side as well, we can see a list of LakeTree services. And these are the transformation services that we call within our process to create those reusable views, such as the business starter view, the comments history, and the repeating section view as well. So now let's look at the comment history transformation service. We can click on that, and we can see within the configuration, we pass in the workflow instance ID, and that makes all comments unique. Okay, this data is then saved to a SQL Azure database, and then the result will contain a list of all comments, including the current one, that gets brought back into the process and stored within a workflow variable. And this variable, once again, is used and placed within both our forms and our emails. If we look at the business data view, we can see we can actually create different designs here. So we can create a 2-column or 4-column table, and then we have our different fields. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this table to now include the request ID of the CapEx. So I'm happy with that. We'll add in request number, and the request is actually stored within SharePoint, so I can now go to my SharePoint items and insert the ID. So that's all we need to now do. If you look at existing forms or tasks, we can now see, such as the project owner. We scroll down, we have the task email that is sent out. In this case, we have all those reusable views that we have created, and we just place them within our email. So once again, I made a change at the start of the service to include now the request ID, and automatically this variable now contains the updated information, so all your forms and emails using that will be updated. Okay, so we have the DFA table and any risks as well. And of course those comments at the end. If we look at the actual form, this is just a very simple form that just contains, once again, a read-only view of all of that business data. So the business data, the DFA table, any risks, and the comments as well. Just again, once again, just to make it, once again, this is all we needed, as the approvals didn't require to modify any other business data. They just needed to review the current business data and then make decisions. If we scroll across to the CEO approval, this is an express approval. Of course, there's no actual form, but once again, we can just place these reusable views into the email and they get all the information they need to make an informed decision. So now let's test the changes that we have made to this workflow. Once again, we will start with our CapEx form. Okay, this is once again being preloaded with information just to make this demonstration a little bit faster. We can see those details there. Okay, but in this case we may add a risk. So one of the risks maybe of the desks not arriving on time. So maybe that can be delivery time, maybe to high. We will just say that employees can work in the training room. Okay, we get happy with that. We will click on submit. And once again, that'll start a process. It will upload any documents that we have. It will then call those transformation services to create the business view, to create the comments, and of course, also the repeating section view as well that will then appear within our form for tasks and within our email as well. So while we are waiting for that, we're just going to go back to the PowerPoint slides. Okay, so you've now seen how to configure the service. So now let's have a review of what we have seen. We have seen how to create custom business views that are reusable, that we can then place within our forms and our emails. It allows us to include links to attachments. So within our emails, we don't have bulky attachments coming through and clogging up the system. The ability to review our repeating section data without having to save it into SharePoint and click on links, navigate away from our forms and our emails to actually see the data. So everything, once again, is in the one place. And of course, the ability to track the process, see where it's been, why did someone reject a task, all the comments associated to this, all held in one place, and dates, of course, of when these actions occurred. And then, of course, means that when you next complete this task, that information once again will be held and amended to the table, and then the next user will get the new information. And last but not least is the Nintex Workflow Cloud tasks that appear within SharePoint. It's a global work list and allows you to filter by process names, so you can add them into different portals and different landing pages. Now, while I've been talking, an email's now come through, and I now have a new task from the process that we just started. So I'm going to open up our form. Okay, and I will once again move that across to the side. And I will open up the email as well. So this is what the whole video is about. Being able to make changes very fast. And when you make the changes, it's going to decrease the development time and also decrease the testing as well. So here we've added the new field, the request number, and it's appeared within my data view for both the email and the form, because those email and the form, they both use the same reusable view. Okay, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please contact me at adam@laketree.com. Thank you.